What if General Grievous survived? In Revenge of the Sith, we witnessed the epic duel between Obi-Wan and Grievous and how by the end, Obi-Wan shot Grievous down, leading to his death. From there, the war ended without Grievous and Palpatine became the new Emperor, ruling side by side with his new apprentice, Darth Vader. But what if things were different? What if Grievous survived his duel with Obi-Wan? How different would things have been if he was still around during the reign of the Empire? Well, in this alternate timeline, that's exactly what we'll be diving into, so let's get right into it. Our story begins towards the end of the climatic duel between Obi-Wan Kenobi and General Grievous. Moments ago, Obi-Wan was thrown to the edge by Grievous, and as he now clinged on to the end of the platform, he was running out of options. So, in a highly calculated move, Obi-Wan force-pulled a nearby blaster and used it to fire right at Grievous. Obi-Wan kept firing the blaster shot after shot, and by doing that, he was able to overwhelm Grievous and eventually knock him right to the floor. However, this is where our story is different from the original. As Obi-Wan walked over to Grievous's body, he took a close look at him. It was really over. General Grievous was dead. Or at least, that's what Obi-Wan thought. As Obi-Wan started to walk away, he left confidently, knowing that he killed the droid general, but little did he know, Grievous was still alive. Although he couldn't speak, or barely move, he was still somehow alive. As Grievous laid there on the floor, he slowly started moving his fingertips on the ground, but he couldn't do much else. He was too weak. He knew he couldn't stay like this for much longer. Eventually, his parts would fry out, and he would be dead for good. Everything within him felt numb. He couldn't feel anything in his body. The only thing he did feel was the hatred that fueled him. His hate for the Jedi, and his hate for Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Execute Order 66.
As time passed, Order 66 was executed and thousands of Jedi spread across the galaxy were shot down in cold blood. One by one, the Jedi Order began to collapse, and as we saw in the film, the tide of the entire galaxy had shifted. However, meanwhile, back on the planet of Utapau, there was one Jedi who could not be found, Obi-Wan Kenobi. After Commander Cody and his battalion shot Obi-Wan down, they were unable to find him. In their opinion, no Jedi could have survived that long fall, so they presumed he was dead. But they needed to confirm this. So they kept searching around the planet, hoping to find him. However, as they were looking, they saw a beam of silver in the sky. It was there where they saw a ship take off in the distance. Cody thought to himself, that must be Kenobi. So Cody and a squad of his troopers went to the landing platform where that mysterious ship took off from, but as they did, they witnessed the unthinkable. It was there where they saw the remains of General Grievous lying there. Was the general dead, Cody thought to himself? He and his clones looked closer. They saw his fingertips moving. Wait a minute, he was alive. General Grievous was still alive. So without hesitation, Cody contacted Lord Sidious immediately.
Lord Sidious, Protocol 66 has been executed as ordered, sir. However, we've run into a problem.
What is it, Commander?
Unfortunately, General Obi-Wan Kenobi has escaped and is on the run.
I see. I am most disappointed by your failure, Commander. Is that all?
No, sir. It seems the Separatist leader General Grievous is somehow still alive, sir. Although he's struggling to breathe, we see him moving. Shall we execute him, sir?
No. Ensure that he stays alive. General Grievous is no longer an enemy. From there, order your troopers to transport him to my surgical reconstruction center on Coruscant at once. We shall evaluate what we will do with him from there.
Yes, sir.
A few days had passed after the events of Order 66, and just as Palpatine planned, the Empire was now in full control of the galaxy. Just as we saw in the film, the events played out the same, and now Palpatine and Darth Vader ruled the galaxy side by side. But there was one thing missing: General Grievous. After Grievous's defeat, he was rushed to Coruscant by the clones and was placed into a Bacta tank to keep him secured. Now, because most of Grievous's body was droid parts, he didn't really need a Bacta tank as much as an organic individual would. However, by placing him in there, it would allow him to be confined in case he ever tried to escape. With the Separatists no longer in control of the galaxy, the doctors weren't sure what Grievous's intentions were now, so they made sure to not take any risk. Although he was probably way too injured to even move, they refused to take any chances. So now, a few days later, Grievous was confined in the tank when all of a sudden, he woke up. He heard footsteps approaching him. Although Grievous was too weak to even speak, he thought to himself, who was that? The footsteps got closer and closer. Then, they stopped. Grievous used all the strength he had to move his eyes forward. It was his master, Darth Sidious.
General Grievous, I am impressed to see you have survived your injuries.
Grievous went silent.
Yes. It seems you are unable to speak. No need to worry, my old friend. I shall inform you of the new changes to this galaxy. The Separatists are no more, General. The Republic has fallen, just as we planned, and under my command, the Galactic Empire is now in control of this galaxy. It is unfortunate that you were defeated on Utapau, but you will continue to serve me just as you did in the old wars. However, you will not be serving just me. You will now be serving both myself and your new master, Darth Vader. Just as you are loyal to Count Dooku, you will prove your loyalty to Lord Vader. He will look after you.
Grievous went silent.
You both have more in common than you may think, General, including your hatred for Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Grievous swelled up with rage. Although he couldn't move much of his body, he started to remember his fight against Obi-Wan and how he was the one who did this to him. He had hatred. He had anger.
No need to worry, General. Our doctors will now perform an operation on you. One that will make you even stronger than your previous self. Once finished, report to me at once. Our work begins immediately.
Over the next 2 days, the doctors performed their operation on Grievous, and just as Palpatine predicted, he was in fact more powerful than even Grievous himself ever expected. Although he looked relatively the same, his armor was now used with brand new durable metals, making him more agile, stronger, and more athletic. With that, Grievous was fully repaired and was now ready to serve both the Emperor and Lord Vader. However, one thing remained: his public image. Because Grievous was seen as a public enemy for so many years, it was now up to Palpatine to clear his name to the public. That way, Grievous would be able to serve the Empire without any issues. Like most things though, Palpatine knew the perfect way to handle this, and he had a plan. So as Grievous approached Palpatine in his office, Palpatine cackled.
Good. Very good. General Grievous, allow me to introduce to you your new master, Lord Vader. He speaks with my voice. A command from him is as a command from me. Is that understood, General?
Yes, Lord Sidious.
Good. Now allow us to go confront the Senate.
As Palpatine and Grievous stood in front of the Senate, the crowd gasped. For years, they saw Grievous as a horrifying droid, a leader of the Separatist army, a murderer, a traitor. He killed thousands of clones, civilians, and went against everything the Republic stood for at the time. How is Emperor Palpatine allowing this monster to have a platform, they thought to themselves? They weren't sure, but as Palpatine began to speak, they'd soon get their answer.
Order! We shall have order!
Leaders of the Senate, I introduce to you somebody that may already be familiar to you. General Grievous. For years you have seen him as your rival, as your enemy. However, with the help of some of the most advanced medical doctors in this galaxy, you no longer need to fear the General, as he is now reprogrammed.
Grievous looked at Palpatine. Was he lying, he thought to himself? He didn't feel reprogrammed, so what was he talking about?
To ensure the security of our galactic empire, General Grievous has no recollection of his past throughout the Clone Wars, and is now designed to follow orders to ensure protection to this galaxy.
Grievous was stunned. He was lying. He still remembered everything, including Count Dooku, the war, and what Obi-Wan did to him, so he wasn't reprogrammed. Palpatine was more manipulative than he thought. Grievous was so impressed.
Now, more than ever, building a strong galaxy requires protection and security. With the help of General Grievous by our side, he will ensure that the remaining Jedi throughout the galaxy will be hunted down and defeated. With this new step, I assure you that peace and justice will be restored to this galaxy.
The crowd roared. Most of the Senate cheered. Although some were skeptical about this newly reprogrammed Grievous, many were easily manipulated by Palpatine's words. Like most things, many believed every word that Palpatine said. However, only a few knew the truth, that Palpatine would create any lie possible to ensure his control over the galaxy. One year had passed since Palpatine's speech to the Senate, and since then, everything went according to his plan. The Empire was only growing stronger each and every day, and with Vader and Grievous as the galaxy's enforcers, they were unstoppable. Over the past year, Vader took it upon himself to teach Grievous everything he knew in terms of both lightsaber combat and studies on what made the Jedi so weak. In a way, it reminded Grievous of how Dooku used to train him, intense and brutal. Day in and day out, Vader made Grievous a better warrior, and surprisingly, the two had a lot more in common than they imagined. Not only were they both more machine than human, but like Palpatine said, they had a similar hatred for Obi-Wan Kenobi. Over the past year, Vader, Grievous, and Vader's team of Inquisitors had been attempting to hunt down Obi-Wan themselves, but sadly they never had luck. Although this frustrated them, they couldn't stop there. Regardless of not being able to find Kenobi, they still continued to hunt down any Jedi alive. Just like in the Clone Wars, Grievous was a Jedi-killing machine and thrived from the joy of slaughtering Jedi with his bare hands and his new lightsabers. As a new general in the Galactic Empire, Grievous began a new lightsaber collection dedicated to all the Jedi he hunted after Order 66. Over time, he was only sent on more and more missions, and as a result, his collection only grew larger. However, since Grievous wasn't Force sensitive, he couldn't bleed these lightsaber crystals to the color of red like how Vader and the Inquisitors had theirs. So, just like in the Clone Wars, he used his new collection of blue and green lightsabers to slaughter anyone in his way. Now a year later, Grievous had become a much stronger warrior than before, but there was one problem. Although Grievous's progression impressed Vader, the Dark Lord still wasn't satisfied. He wanted more. He wanted Kenobi. It had been a year since his injuries on Mustafar, and Kenobi was the only thing racing through his mind. He knew his old master was still alive and hiding somewhere, and with Grievous by his side, he wanted to find him, once and for all. So while standing in his castle on Mustafar, Vader summoned Grievous to speak with him.
Yes, Lord Vader.
You have proven yourself well, General. Your strength has returned, and you have proven to be a valuable asset to this empire.
Thank you, Lord Vader.
However, your work in finding Kenobi has been a failure. It seems a change is needed, General.
What do you wish for me to do?
If we are to find Kenobi, the Empire must belong to us, General. We require more resources to hunt down and locate him.
What are you suggesting, Lord Vader?
If we are to rule this galaxy, we must confront my master and overthrow him. With our combined strength, he will be no match.
Grievous took a pause. Overthrow Lord Sidious? If it weren't for him, he wouldn't even be alive right now. He was grateful for his master. He'd never expect to overthrow him.
General, just like Count Dooku, you are nothing but a tool to the Emperor. Soon he will replace you. After you, it will be me. But together, we can prevent that, General.
Grievous's thoughts shifted. Lord Vader was right. He remembered years ago when Count Dooku died, all Sidious said was that his death was a necessary loss. At the time, he didn't think much about it, but looking back, it was almost as if Dooku was disposable to him. Maybe Lord Vader was right. Maybe they could take this empire for themselves.
As you wish, Lord Vader.
Good. We leave for Coruscant at once.
The two set off for Coruscant, and as they arrived, they made their way up to the Imperial Palace where Palpatine's office was located. However, when they entered, Palpatine spoke up.
Guards, leave us. So, Lord Vader, General Grievous, I take it your hunt for the Jedi has gone well as of recent. But yet I sense a disturbance in the Force, almost as if you are trying to betray me.
Your rule ends here.
Ah, I see. And who will overthrow me? You? I see you have taken it upon yourself to turn General Grievous to your side. It is unfortunate that you haven't even told him the truth of who you are, yet claim to be his master.
Grievous looked at Vader. What was he talking about?
Ah, has he never told you, General? Under that black armor is the former Jedi Knight, Anakin Skywalker, a weak and pathetic Jedi.
Grievous was stunned. Anakin Skywalker? The same Anakin Skywalker that was Kenobi's apprentice? The one who had such a high reputation in the Clone Wars? It all made sense now. No wonder why he hated Kenobi so much. However, as Palpatine said this, Vader was filled with rage. He had enough. It was his master's fault for Padme's death. It was his master's fault for everything. He wanted revenge. So, out of nowhere, Vader ignited his red lightsaber and leaped right towards Palpatine, but then...
Now, Lord Vader, remember your place. You are my apprentice, and nothing more.
Grievous stood there stunned. He couldn't let Vader be tortured. They were supposed to take this empire together. No, he couldn't let that happen. So Grievous then ignited his 4 lightsabers, and as he did, Palpatine turned right towards him. From there, Palpatine ignored Vader and ignited his red lightsaber, leaping towards the droid general. It was now a duel between Palpatine and Grievous as the two fought one-on-one. However, Palpatine was toying with him. He knew Grievous was no match for him, so with every strike of his blade, he kept laughing and laughing. Before Grievous knew it, not one, but 2 of his hands were quickly sliced off by Palpatine, and now he was just left with 2. No matter how hard he tried, he wasn't strong enough. He couldn't keep up with Darth Sidious. He was just too powerful. Did he make a mistake by doing this, he thought to himself? Then before he knew it, Palpatine sliced off his last 2 hands and brought Grievous right to his knees. Now with both Vader and Grievous on the ground, Palpatine had won the fight. Even with their combined strength, they were no match for the Dark Lord of the Sith.
I am impressed that you both believed you could overthrow me. However, you must remember, I own both of you.
Palpatine walked up to Grievous, who was too injured to even speak.
General Grievous, you must have forgotten that it was I who saved you a year ago, to give you another chance, even after embarrassing yourself against Obi-Wan Kenobi. It is unfortunate that you attempted to betray me, my old friend.
Palpatine paused. Then out of nowhere, he struck a bolt of Force lightning right at Grievous. As Vader watched his master do this, he tried picking himself back up, but he just couldn't. He was just too weak. He wanted to help Grievous, but he just couldn't move. He was defeated. Palpatine kept frying Grievous. As he did, Grievous became weaker and weaker. Then before he knew it, Palpatine stopped.
The Empire thanks you for your service, General. However, remember one last thing. You are no longer the brave warrior you were on Kali. You are nothing but a tool to the Separatist Alliance, and now you are nothing but a tool to the Galactic Empire. You will always be nothing, General.
Grievous went silent. In that moment, he regretted everything. Palpatine was right. He used to be one of the greatest warriors on the planet Kali. He was once respected by his people and was seen as a hero among the Kali species. But now he was just a tool. At that moment, Grievous accepted his fate. For the first time ever, he had no more fight left in him.
Die well, General.
With one swift strike of his blade, Palpatine stabbed his red lightsaber right through Grievous's chest. It was over. General Grievous was dead. As Vader watched in horror, Palpatine turned around and walked towards him.
Don't worry. I'm not going to kill you, Lord Vader. As a matter of fact, I am impressed you have plotted to overthrow me, my friend. Your hunger for power, your thirst for revenge, that is the way of the Sith, yes? But know your place. You will always be my slave.
Palpatine pointed his saber right at Vader's throat.
I understand this past year has been a traumatic time for you. But if you touch me with the Force or your lightsaber again, I will finish what Kenobi could not. Is that understood, Lord Vader?
Yes, my master.
Good. Now, rise. We have work to do.